Welcome to the Introduction to OSHA for Field Technicians and Sales. Please select the right arrow to begin. The purpose of the course is to provide a general understanding of what is OSHA, their mission, requirements and the processes involved in a OSHA Onsite Compliance Inspection. The mission of OSHA is to save lives, prevent injuries and protect the health of America's workers. The OSH Act stated that workers have the right to a safe workplace and that it is the employer's responsibility to provide safe and healthy workplaces. OSHA was established to assure so far as possible every working man and woman in the nation safe and healthful working conditions and to preserve our human resources. Employers must provide employees a workplace free from recognized hazards. Comply with all applicable OSHA standards. Provide required training to all workers in a language and vocabulary they can understand. Notify OSHA within 8 hours of a workplace fatality or within 24 hours of any work-related inpatient hospitalization, amputation, or loss of an eye. OSHA standards are rules that describe the methods that employers must use to protect their employees from hazards. There are OSHA standards for construction work, agriculture, maritime operations, and general industry, which are the standards that apply to most work sites. These standards limit the amount of hazardous chemicals workers can be exposed to, require the use of certain safe practices and equipment, and require employers to monitor hazards and keep records of workplace injuries and illnesses. 29 CFR 1910, 1926, and 1915 are in the Code of Federal Regulations. 29 is the book assigned to the Department of Labor, therefore, the OSHA standards are 29 CFR 1910 is assigned to general industry, 29 CFR 1926 is assigned to construction. General Duty Clause, Section 5A, 1. Explain that this is used when there is not a specific OSHA standard that applies to the situation. OSHA inspectors can select a job site based on the following criteria. Randomly selected from active work sites in the area, specifically targeted by type of work, recognition of imminent danger by compliance officer driving by site, accident investigation, and employee complaint. You must contact your manager or superintendent, foreman or lead mechanic, immediately when any of the following situations occurs: when you become aware an OSHA compliance officer is on the job site, when the GC requests attendance at an OSHA opening conference, or when you are requested to accompany an OSHA compliance office during an inspection. That manager or superintendent, foreman or lead mechanic, shall attend to OSHA the opening conference. Common documents to be checked during an OSHA inspection are Daily Inspection Checklist, Site-Specific Fall Protection Plan, JHA Running Platform Checklist, Permit Required Confined Space, Reclassification Checklist, and Toolbox Talkbook. These documents are required to be up to date and available to all employees on site at all times. It is very important to be prepared for an OSHA inspection, especially the opening conference. Always carry a pencil, paper, and a camera with the ability to do audio or video recording. For example, use your smartphone to record videos, audio and take pictures. Never reenact the work previously done or pose for staged photographs. Take the identical picture from same item the OSHA inspector is looking at, different angles, a greater distance, so as to depict the nature of the work. If asked questions by a compliance officer, answers should be brief. Do not volunteer additional information. Never acknowledge any violations or argue with compliance officer. OSHA compliance officer upon arrival must introduce themselves with official photo ID, present credentials must state the reason for inspection and purpose, describe the process to take place and request opening conference. The foreman or lead mechanic must document the following information provided during the opening conference: job info, date, and time, employee's present, name of OSHA compliance officer, reason for inspection, areas of inspection, general notes by compliance officer, note any testing instruments used during inspection, and any alleged violations discussed. Complete Appendix K OSHA inspection report and submit to your regional safety manager. If the OSHA compliance officer requests to inspect the gang boxes or has questions about it, the employees must state first, everything in the gang box is inspected prior for use. If OSHA compliance officer requests copies of documents, politely advise him/her that the request must be directed to the Director of Health and Safety. Never acknowledge any violations or argue with compliance officer. OSHA compliance officer must conduct a closing conference. Foreman or lead mechanics must note or voice/video record if possible this meeting. Foreman or lead mechanic must document OSHA compliant officer observations, findings or recommendations. After this meeting, foreman or lead mechanic will contact their regional safety manager or the director of health and safety in the event the regional safety manager is not available. Regardless if OSHA or TCA is conducting a job site inspection, you must always following these requirements: lock and tag damaged or defective equipment on the job site. Ensure the tag reads out of service danger, do not use. Make sure all your gang boxes are closed and locked. Implement the 10 rules to all applicable work practices. Ensure all employees are following TCA standard procedures. Only use approved TCA equipment/tools. Ensure all employees are wearing the proper personal protective equipment. Communicate concerns and recommendations to your supervisor or managers. Thank you for completing the Introduction to OSHA training.